Welcome to the Quantum AI Coach podcast. I'm Gina, founder of Virtual World Coaching Academy.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really thrilled you're joining us.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this one. It's a really good topic.
It is. We have a truly fascinating mission for this conversation today. We're going to explore why we so often sabotage our own success.
Right.
And specifically why that traditional, loudly broadcasted business advice of, just hustling harder might actually be the exact thing holding you back.
Oh, absolutely. It usually is.
Yeah. So we're looking at this incredible piece of writing today. It's an excerpt titled The 10-Pound K Boundary, How to Stop Sabotaging Your Success.
Which is just a brilliant title.
It really is. And let me tell you, this source material is just dense with insight.
Yeah.
It takes that standard entrepreneurial playbook and completely turns it on its head.
It does. It really takes all those accepted norms about, how we're supposed to scale our businesses or hit these massive goals, and it looks at them through a much more internal, almost biological lens. It basically proposes that hitting your next big milestone is less about what you're doing and actually far more about what your body is experiencing.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Because the central premise starts by tackling this idea of financial milestones.
Yes.
It specifically mentions hitting 10,000-pound months, which, for a lot of independent creators, freelancers, consultants, that's the magical, elusive barrier.
It's
right?
the holy grail number for so many people.
Exactly. And most people assume the solution to hitting that boundary is entirely tactical. Like, you need a more aggressive sales script.
Or a slicker marketing funnel.
Right. Or you just need to be intensely persuasive. But the argument here is that this constant striving for persuasiveness is actually repelling the exact high-end clients you want to work with.
Which completely flies in the face of what we're taught. The common narrative is that if you want something, you pursue it aggressively.
Not just go get it.
Right. You make the pitch, you overcome objections, you close the deal. But the author suggests that when you're in that energy of pursuit, when you chase clients, you aren't signaling authority at all.
What are you signaling?
You're signaling desperation.
Wow.
The real secret to elite growth isn't about layering on more tactical steps or, learning some new psychological trick to force a yes on a sales call. It's about a profound, fundamental internal shift.
I really want to dig into that shift because the text describes it as moving your identity from being a fixer to being a leader.
Yes, the fixer identity.
And on the surface, being a fixer sounds great. Like if I'm hiring someone, I want them to fix my problems.
Sure, we all do.
But the text emphasizes that trying to fix client problems simply to prove your worth is actually a deeply flawed strategy for elite growth.
It is deeply flawed because a fixer is inherently reactive. Think about the energy of someone who is constantly hustling to prove they deserve to be in the room.
Sweating the details, over-delivering.
Exactly. They are anxiously anticipating every possible issue. They're essentially broadcasting, I am only valuable to you as long as you have a crisis for me to solve.
Oh, that's so true.
It immediately puts you in a subordinate position. A leader, on the other hand, is already comfortable in the room. They don't need a crisis to justify their presence.
But let me play devil's advocate for just a second here.
Go for it.
If you are a freelancer or a small business owner, especially one trying to cross that 10-pound K boundary, don't you have to hustle a little bit?
Oh.
Doesn't business require some level of pursuit? How do we differentiate between healthy customer service and this desperate fixer mentality?
That is the crucial distinction. Look, good customer service is just delivering an excellent product or experience.
Yeah.
The fixer mentality, though, is an identity rooted in subservience.
Subservience, right?
Right. It's the difference between confidently saying, here is how I can guide you to your goal, versus anxiously saying, tell me everything you need and I'll bend over backwards to do it. Just please hire me.
Ah, I see the difference.
And to combat this, the author introduces this idea of building a container so sovereign that your boundaries do the selling for you.
I have to admit, building a sovereign container sounds a little poetic.
It does.
Maybe even a bit esoteric for a strictly practical business audience. What does that actually look like in the real world?
Let's translate that into practical terms. Think of a sovereign container, like the velvet rope and the banter at an exclusive, high-end venue.
Okay, I like that visual.
The venue doesn't have people out on the street begging passersby to come inside. The standards, the environment, the clear boundaries of who is allowed in that is the container.
So the boundary itself is the draw.
Exactly. In business, having a sovereign container means you have established such a clear confident framework for how you operate your pricing, your communication hours, your scope of work, that you don't need to convince anyone of your value.
And a massive piece of that framework, according to the source, is learning the value of a boundary, specifically the power of a well-placed no.
Yes, the
Yeah.
ultimate filter.
The text actually argues that saying no is the ultimate asset for your business velocity. But saying no is terrifying.
It really is.
We are conditioned to think that saying no means turning away an opportunity, especially if we're worried about making rent or, hitting a revenue target.
It's terrifying because it feels completely counterintuitive to survival.
Right.
But saying no to the wrong things, or saying no to a dynamic where you're just going to be a subservient fixer, is what actually accelerates your progress. That no establishes your standard.
It draws a line in the sand.
Exactly. And high-tier clients, the ones who actually respect your expertise and pay you, they're actively looking for that boundary.
Because it shows you're a professional.
Yes. They want to know they are in the hands of a professional who has standards, not just someone who will say yes to everything out of desperation.
So I want you to think about your own habits for a moment. You listening. Whether you're in business for yourself, navigating a corporate career, or even just managing personal projects, are you performing confidence to try and get a specific result? Or are you naturally inhabiting it?
That's the core question.
Because there is a massive energetic difference between slapping on a brave face to make a sale and genuinely resting in the knowledge of your own value. And people can pick up on that difference instantly.
They absolutely can. It's palpable. And to illustrate how deeply ingrained these reactions are and how they operate way below our logical, conscious minds, the author shares this brilliant, very visceral story.
The bank statement story.
Yes.
This is such a revealing anecdote. So the author talks about a day when a close friend of theirs showed them a bank statement on their phone.
Right.
And on this statement, a massive sum of money had been deposited into the friend's account entirely by mistake.
A completely random banking error.
Totally random. Now, logically, nothing had actually changed between the author and their friend. They'd been friends for years. It was the same person standing right in front of them in the exact same room. But the author writes that the moment they saw that massive number on the screen, they immediately felt a sharp, tight sensation in their stomach.
Like a punch.
Yeah. Their mind instantly translated that number into a brand new reality. He's rich now. And suddenly they felt physically ill. Why does a good thing happening to a friend cause physical pain?
What's fascinating here is the sheer physical nature of that reaction.
That tight stomach.
The sharp, tight stomach. The nervous system reacted instantaneously, completely bypassing any logical thought, as if a massive power shift had just occurred in the room.
Wow.
To understand this, we have to look at biology. That tight stomach is the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, basically hijacking the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logic.
Thus logic goes out the window.
Completely out the window. It triggered an old, deeply buried, unconscious rule in the author's mind. When money dynamics change, my position becomes uncertain.
It's so revealing because it highlights how we are just fundamentally wired for hierarchy and safety.
Yeah.
The author notes that they weren't just looking at their friend's money on that screen.
Right. They were looking at the past.
They were suddenly looking at their own childhood memories. Memories of shifting financial dynamics, arguments over money, the feeling of losing power. The physical tension they felt in their stomach wasn't some kind of character flaw or a sign that they were a bad friend.
Not at all.
It was crucial, primal information being delivered by their body.
The body was sounding a primal alarm. It was saying, hey, the environment has changed, resources have shifted, the hierarchy is different, and therefore you might not be safe anymore.
That is wild.
And this visceral reaction brings us to the messy middle of how this actually shows up in our daily lives. Because this panic doesn't usually look like a full-blown panic attack. It looks like self-sabotage.
Right. How do we actually identify this in our own work? Because if someone is listening to this, they might think, well, I don't get a stomach ache when I see money. But what are the actual symptoms of this dysregulated nervous system in a business context?
It shows up in incredibly stealthy ways. It's the moment you're on a sales call and right before you state your 10-pound K price, your chest tightens and you suddenly say, but I can offer a 20% discount.
Oh, I've done that. We've all done that.
Right. Or it's procrastinating on launching a new product for 6 months because it's never perfect enough.
Right.
Or over-delivering to a client to the point of total burnout because you're terrified they'll realize you're an imposter.
It's exhausting.
These aren't strategy failures. They are symptoms of a nervous system that is bracing for impact.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because this is the absolute core focus of today's deep dive.
Let's get into it.
Like so many ambitious, high-performing people, the author had always assumed that hitting a financial ceiling was a strategy problem. They thought they just hadn't found the right blueprint or the right marketing hook yet. But the massive reframe in this text is that it's not a strategy problem at all. It's actually a nervous system capacity problem. Your nervous system is your biggest bottleneck.
I cannot overstate how critical this paradigm shift is. Your nervous system is your biggest bottleneck.
It really is the biggest bottleneck.
We spend thousands of hours trying to optimize our schedules, our marketing funnels, our email outreach. But if your nervous system is your biggest bottleneck, none of those external strategies will work long term.
Because the body is in charge.
Exactly. Your brain is, first and foremost, a survival machine. If your brain unconsciously associates wealth or a higher level of success with instability or a shift in hierarchy or being isolated from your peers, it will actively resist that expansion.
It will literally pull the emergency brake on your success.
Yeah.
You can have the greatest marketing strategy in the world, but if your body believes that crossing that 10-pound K boundary makes you a target, you just won't do it.
Exactly. You have this tug of war happening constantly. Your conscious mind is saying, I want to hit this revenue goal. I want to level up. I want to build this business.
I want the money.
Right. But your unconscious mind, governed by your nervous system, is saying, wait a minute. The last time money dynamics changed when we were 7 years old, things got really volatile. People thought, we felt powerless.
So let's stay put.
So actually, it is much safer to stay exactly where we are, and the nervous system will win that tug of war every single time. Safety always trumps ambition in our biology.
Which really highlights the futility of relying solely on sales hacks. The source makes it crystal clear. No matter how many clever tactics you employ, no matter how many books you read on persuasion, you simply cannot outsmart a nervous system that feels fundamentally unsafe with wealth.
You really can't.
You will unconsciously sabotage those 10-pound K months before they even happen. You'll conveniently forget to follow up with a warm lead, or you'll deliberately underprice a massive proposal, all to keep yourself in that familiar, safe zone.
It is self-sabotage, but we have to look at it with compassion.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is self-sabotage born out of a biological desire for protection. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is to keep you alive based on the rules it learned in the past.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question. If our own nervous system is the bottleneck and our biology is actively fighting our ambition, how do we get out of our own way?
We have to change the signals.
Right. The source offers a solution, and it involves moving through what it calls a psychosensory process. Now, that's a heavy, slightly academic term. How do we break that down into something actionable?
It's a great term once we unpack it. Psycho refers to the mind, and sensory refers to the body and the nervous system.
Okay.
The author isn't just saying think positive thoughts. Affirmations don't work if your body is in full fight or flight mode.
You can't just positive think your way out of a panic response.
Right. A psychosensory process means actively regulating your physical state before you try to change your mental state. It means physically calming your heart rate, deepening your breathing, engaging your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode.
So the physical comes first.
You have to physically signal to your body that you are safe before you ask for the 10-pound K.
That makes so much sense. You have to literally rewrite the imprint in your body. And once you do that, once you physically calm the nervous system, the text gives us the exact new belief, the new truth that is required to operate at this elite tier.
And it's a powerful one.
It is. The author states, I don't need to be subservient to serve. I can be relational and respected.
I want to pause on that phrase because it is incredibly profound. I don't need to be subservient to serve.
It's hard.
So many service providers, freelancers, even corporate employees have built their entire professional identity on the unconscious belief that to provide value, they must be subservient. They must be at the constant beck and call of the client or the boss.
They act like the hired help rather than the expert guide.
Exactly.
But when you make this psychosensory shift, when you regulate your nervous system to genuinely feel safe in your own authority, everything changes. The text says you stop fixing problems, just to prove your worth,
Yeah.
and you begin stewarding the client's expansion.
Yes.
And you do it from a place of sovereign, calm presence.
Stewarding is such an intentional word choice there. A fixer is frantic. A fixer is in the sympathetic nervous system state fight or flight. A steward is grounded,
Calm.
right? A steward is a respected peer who is walking alongside the client, guiding them with expertise. You aren't desperately trying to patch holes to justify your invoice. You are calmly holding a space for their growth.
And the reward for this shift is what the source refers to as the quantum ROI.
Yes, quantum return on investment.
Again, a term that sounds a little woo-woo at first glance,
Mm.
but the text explains it by saying that when you finally operate from this calm, sovereign place,
Yeah.
you are actually no longer selling in the traditional sense at all. You are holding a frequency.
Right.
If we strip away the jargon, what does holding a frequency actually mean in, say, a business meeting?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of how human beings interact, it makes total biological sense. Holding a frequency is simply maintaining parasympathetic dominance.
Staying calm.
Exactly. We communicate so much more through our subtle biological cues, our vocal tone, our pacing, our micro-expressions, than we do through our actual words.
People feel your energy.
Yes, when you're operating from a regulated nervous system, you project a biological signal of calm authority. You aren't anxiously trying to fill the silence on a call.
Right, the nervous rambling.
Exactly. You aren't over-explaining your pricing because your body feels threatened. You state your terms and you comfortably hold the silence. Your lack of desperation is the return on investment.
Which brings us right back to the power of the boundary and the filter of the word no. The text explains that your boundaries act as a literal filter for your business.
They do.
When you hold that calm frequency, your boundaries naturally repel the clients who are looking for a subservient fixer, the ones who want to micromanage you or squeeze every last drop of energy out of you for minimal pay.
We all know those clients.
We do. But simultaneously, those exact same boundaries magnetize the clients you actually want.
Huh.
They attract the clients who are looking for a respected peer.
Because elite clients, people who are truly operating at a high level and have the budgets to match, they can feel this authentic, inhabited power the absolute moment you enter a room.
Or hop on a video call.
Right. They are highly attuned to whether someone is performing confidence to get their money or if someone genuinely embodies their expertise down to their nervous system.
It's a biological match.
It is. They want to invest in the person who inhabits their power because that person feels like a safe bet to them. They know a grounded steward can handle the weight of their business.
It is an identity shift that fundamentally changes the physics of how you operate. You stop pushing the boulder up the hill and you let your grounded biological presence do the heavy lifting.
Because your nervous system isn't the bottleneck anymore.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you? The author leaves us with an incredibly powerful call to action, and I want to put this directly to you as you listen right now.
It's a great question.
Ask yourself, and be brutally honest. Where in your business or your career are you saying yes to a client simply because your nervous system is afraid of what happens if you set a boundary? Where are you agreeing to scope creep or taking on work you hate or answering emails at midnight because your body is running an old, outdated biological program that says, if I say no, I will lose everything and I won't be safe?
It is a really challenging question to sit with, but it's the necessary work. If we are to summarize the journey of this text, it is the realization that true, lasting success isn't about chasing the next shiny marketing tactic.
Yeah.
It isn't about optimizing your funnel. It is about learning to lead yourself first. It is about deeply understanding the physiological signals your body is sending you, like that tight stomach when money is discussed, or the urge to drop your price on a call.
Paying attention to the biology.
Exactly, and actively working to expand your nervous system's capacity for wealth, for power, and for sovereignty. You have to physically make it safe for your body to succeed.
You really do. We have to remember the core focus here. Your nervous system is your biggest bottleneck.
Without a doubt.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to bridge this concept of a financial ceiling to your personal worth and leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Okay.
We've talked extensively today about how our nervous system dictates our business success based on old childhood rules of safety. We've looked at how it caps our income. But take a step back and look at the rest of your world.
A bigger picture.
Right. If our biology is this powerful in the boardroom, what other areas of your life, your romantic relationships, your creative pursuits, your baseline level of daily joy, What else is currently being quietly capped by your body's outdated definition of what feels safe?
That raises such an important question, doesn't it? Because the work of expanding that nervous system capacity isn't just about making 10,000 pounds a month.
Not at all.
It is about accessing a wider, richer, and far more authentic spectrum of life.
Exactly. The ceiling isn't just financial, it's emotional. It's something very profound to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, and we will catch you next time.
So when Gina offered me the opportunity to do this, I jumped for it because I think anything that you can do that is going to chip away at these limiting the beliefs of things that hold you back is really, really worth doing. So it's been a really lovely experience, and if anybody's a bit worried about it, just do it, because the opportunity to connect through havening is really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful.
But really helpful, I think, in terms of having that kind of guided process just to kind of let the ideas and the feelings and the images flow, and then try and work out what it actually means afterwards, and to come up with, and it made intuitive sense. It's really, really helpful to then kind of have that debrief of, okay, what can we actually do with this stuff? Because that's where we tend to get stuck, is kind of like coming out of it going, oh, this is all some really interesting ideas and thoughts and feelings and images. But yeah, then, how can we actually harness them to do something different? And I think that's been really, really helpful in terms of clarifying really what I need to prioritize to go forward in a way that will deal with some of that stuff that came up.
I would like to point out that I'm actually a therapist myself, and sometimes therapists also need a therapist. So I was really stuck, and then one day a friend posted a link for Gina's wealth and money attracting short course, and I went, this sounds great, I'm just gonna book it. And I loved it so much. I really had an epiphany on that course, and it was only meant to be a demonstration, and yet it was really it just opened up possibilities that I was stuck before, and now ooh, I can use this to unstuck myself. I'm a great believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and you appeared at the right time. That's all there is to it. So, if anybody is watching this video, it means Gina has appeared in your life. So please give it a try.
She walks where the sky